Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Phil. I am the Down Under Maker. I'm running a few moments later than I normally do because just as I started to stream, Google logged me out. Yay. Do I have audio, everybody? Can I please get a confirmation I have audio? And for the record, RJ, you are not getting the Delta. Can I get a confirmation we have audio? Yes, we have audio. Okay, so just as I was starting my stream, I got a thing going, you can't chat. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I did a quick refresh and then realized that my Google credentials had obviously timed out and I had to relog in. So that was fun. So where are we at? We are building a Delta Flyer. We've got the majority of the frame put together and we need to start like zipping it all up and putting on the motion system. And then we will start installing the electronics. Just checking out who's in chat. We have Raj, we have Kegel, we have Greenbeard, we have Jeff. We have RJ. RJ is definitely not getting the Delta. I think I saw a couple of other people if I scroll back a little bit. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just confused. Hopefully Nick will turn up in a little while. He's been lurking of late. And everybody else will join us as the stream goes on. So just going to make a quick change to what I can see here. And make your chat a bit bigger so it's easier for me to track what's going on. I'm trying to I've tried rearranging a few things in terms of what I can see of you guys. And I'm just scrolling through the manual now to get to the point where we are at. Let's go to the other camera so we can see what's going on. So I did a little bit of due diligence checking off stream and realized, oh, we have a Dutchman somewhere around. Yes, we have DJ Hollandica, also known as Ram Online on other on Twitch and things like that, is with us. Yeah, so I did a little bit of due diligence on my bench yesterday and went around and checked a few bits and pieces. First thing is we didn't put heat sets into the hinges, so we're going to need to get that quickly done. Second thing was I put the magnet in the frame shroud inside out, so it didn't match the handle. So I've quickly tried to pop that out and broke that piece, and so I've reprinted it. So we need to put that magnet back in, and a heat set missing from here. The rest of this is just ready for this stream. So before we start, let's get the heat set press going and get those heat sets dealt with. And then we can move on with something more fun. Now, last stream we did get the rails all greased and installed. And I did go out of my way and print some jigs and make sure the rails were straight. They were so straight, it was scary how good my eyesight was for that. One of the rails needed moving maybe 1/4 millimeter at an end, but it was scarily good, and I don't know how I managed to fluke that. What's going on in chat? Greenbeard's using Onshape. Chat overlay isn't working. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I will fix that now. And that should populate in a moment, hopefully. Something went wrong. I think that something's not quite right with the software that does that. Cancel. Discard. Okay, there we go. I had a backup script I had set aside, so I've put that in its place, and that seems to be working for now. So we'll see what happens. Let's have a quick look here. Greenbeard, if you get a paid sub, then it can be private. Yeah, the whole Onshape and Fusion debate is still ongoing. So replacement part for the magnet fixed. I very slightly modified the hole in the STL when I did the print to make that now a very snug fit. Oh, not quite snug enough. It's much closer, but it does still pull out. I'll fix that with a little bit of super glue. I think everybody's going good. Greenbeard's still debating whether he's going to go to FreeCAD. Okay, so the heatset press is all warm. One, two, three, 4, 5. I'm going to try doing this sideways to see if this makes it easier for you guys to see. No. That way is the most logical way to put these in. They don't sit up there. Okay. I've been doing a heap of cable management in my garage, and that's what these are, in case you're interested in. So quickly pop these heat sets in. Trying not to burn my fingers too much again. I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching will know that this is a stealth press, but if you don't know, it's a stealth press. The files are available on printables, and there's various kits you can buy on AliExpress, etc. And go away. I forgot to do that update on the OBSBot software, obviously. Oh, you might also notice that my microphone is back to being the normal one. I worked out what the issue was. It turned out it was the a Windows update had screwed everything up and set the security permissions to not allow this microphone to be broadcast. I put that other heat setting upside down, I think. Yep, doesn't matter. Oh, this was the right way up. So how's everybody's week been? I'm assuming if you're all here, you're not dead. So that's a win. Zoom, zoom, zoom. No, I gave up on Mazda. The torque converter gave out at 124,000 Ks. So that's not even 100,000 miles for you Americans. So that's all in. So now we can get rid of this before I burn myself. What is my coffee of choice? We have, for those who know Bearded Printer, I have a coffee called Bearded Barista. That's the beans we've been buying. And the picture looks uncannily like Bearded Printer. So yeah, that's my coffee at the moment. Just scanning through everything, making sure I've got it all done. So that's what's going on. Bear with me one sec, guys. So here we have the destruction manual, and I'm just quickly scanning through to make sure we've got all of the heat sets done now. I think we've got all that done. So hinge is done, door is done, lid is done. Effector parts, we'll double check. There's that one. There's 2 in the back, which corresponds to these 2. And there's 6 in the base, corresponding to the 6 around the outside, plus 2 in the middle, which Canrog double checked for us. So there's 1,000,000 in those, which we'll fix up if we have to. This is the missing one that I just installed. So I think we're on track. Now it does say that there's a support piece on these that we need to take off, but I think I've already done that. Certainly looks like it. So that's all fine. Let's move on. We've put the motors together. We've put the idlers in. We've built all 3 of the pillars or pylons, depending on what you want to call them. Note the position of the cover with the holes and the magnets, which we'll deal with. And it says not to put them on it anyway right now. Time to put the effectors onto the carriage by the looks of it. So get rid of that for a moment. Hinge pieces are over there. Magnet part is over there. That can go there because we're going to need it shortly. And that's better. Ain't nobody wants to see my toes except that weirdo from Alex's chat. Let's go with a pylon. Yeah. Let's just explain a little bit about this mechanism. For people who are using this as a build guide, please don't. Use it as a reference, yes, but don't use it to directly, this is exactly how I build my part, my printer. This little tab goes in here. And that little tab makes and breaks an optical sensor, and that's how it knows whether it's homed or not. So what we need to do is we need to screw those to there, and then we need to do some checking. Let's just check on chat and see what everybody's saying. Kegel, oh, Kegel's the weirdo who likes toes. Okay, good to know. Now, what screws do we need for this? We need M36. And because these are button heads, we need the 2mm driver. Now, I'm just doing that to the point where it just starts to catch. Only Aussie toes. Okay. I'm not sure if to be creeped out more or not. Good morning, Alex. Still working on this, yes. I'm actually quite enjoying building it. Now, these two screws don't seem to have any means of escape, but the third one does. So let's try putting it into the spot it keeps escaping out of. I'm trying not to stand between you guys and what's going on. That's not helping much. To my drawer full of magnets. See if that helps. That's better. So I put some magnets on the screwdriver shaft. And now the screw sticks. There we go. And just the point where it just feels like it's going to tighten, I can take the little plastic stopper off now. And what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that that tab slots nicely in between the optical sensor and giving it a snug down now. Old lady has to have surgery on her hand. Is it a pimp hand from where she's been slapping you? So, just showing everybody what's going on. No sensor, sensor. No sensor, sensor. No sensor, sensor. You can see that the tab is breaking the light beam between the two sensor halves. And that's what's going on. Now, a few of you have been following my exploits with my Vivid beta testing, and I came up with a novel solution for one of the issues I've been having. I've been having a very similar situation with the Vivid and the buffer. So inside the buffer, there's a piece of plastic which breaks an optical sensor, just like we've just seen there. And it was catching just ever so slightly, like minor amounts. And it was causing me heartache and woe because sometimes it wasn't triggering properly. So what I did was I turned the buffer upside down. And because of gravity and all the other things working slightly differently on the buffer, it took away that issue. So I'm stoked. And I'm now getting quite reliable prints out of it. Has to face north and not Aussie north. Okay. Okay, just slightly pinch tight. Could be a suppose, but if so, I haven't noticed. Yeah, having your good lady laid up for a little while sucks. Mrs. Maker is almost finished with her physiotherapy from when she shattered her ankle. Again, just double checking that that sensor isn't going to catch against the fin. Now, something that has been brought up by other people who built these printers is you need to make sure you use a very optically dense plastic to ensure that the trigger is, the light beam across the trigger is properly broken. If you run into a situation where you build your own and it's not, you can get Sharpie, or Texter, or whatever, basically a marker pen, and you can color in that tab just there, just to make it that little bit more optically dense if you need to, and that's what will solve that problem for you if you're finding that the sensor isn't reliable. So that's number 3 done. Sorry, number 2 done. You may have tried an octopus board this morning. We can chat offline afterwards if you want, Alex. I'm pretty good at reviving those things. It may involve some soldering on your behalf, but that shouldn't be difficult. As long as you didn't have the 5-volt power and the 24-volt power both on at the same time with the 5-volt jumper installed, you should be safe. That's all good, so I'm just going to tighten that down. Yeah, it's definitely wiser to power everything off, but it should be resurrectable. Worst comes to worst, you can STM link to the chip itself, which is like a $5 thing you buy off AliExpress or Amazon. Got one here somewhere, I think. It's in one of my many drawers. I'll look for it later if we have a gap. I'm trying to get some serious amounts of work done on this today. Wow, that's an RJ level mistake. No comment. So we have the effector slides into place. Cut each belt to 690 millimeters. Here's some rulers I prepared earlier. And where are the belts? Belts, 4 meters of the above. Well, that's generous. Do I have a razor blade around? I normally do. I've tidied up again. Ah, that splits open easier anyway. On-screen chat isn't updating again. We had this problem last week. So let's try changing sources. And back again. I need to work out what's going on with that. For now, I'm just going to turn off the on-screen chat. Sorry, guys. Sometimes it's scrolling and sometimes it's not. I guess I could try changing it one more time. Mad Dog Jeff. It looks like it's updated. Let's hope it's back to normal. Okay, so let's turn this around. Let's get something we can properly cut. There we go. For Phil, it's 3:30 a.m. For Jeff, yes, it's 3:30 a.m. here, Alex. Cut me some slack, man. Oh, hi, Luke. Digital Dragons in the house. Everybody say hi. I need 690, not 700 mil. In case you're wondering what these are Tamiya, as in the RC carring plastic kit, building kit manufacturer. Special scissors for cutting the plastic sprues off their kits, the polystyrene surrounds, and they work amazingly well for this sort of stuff where you need a snip. While we're on the subject of liking and subscribing, please like and subscribe to RJ Repo Man, who's here in chat, Projects in Dad's Garage, which probably everybody already has. And I would invite everybody to like and subscribe to Penguin Makers as well, but he's not here right now, so he doesn't deserve it. Nah, he does. And put that over here out the way. Just doing a quick double check that all these belts are even. There we go. He's on a Mountain Dew run. He'll be here soon. Speaking of drinking, I need coffee. So, cut each belt to 690 millimeters is what the destruction manual says. It says it right here. Using the apex clips. Uh-oh. I know I've printed them, but I haven't seen those in a while. Maybe they're in here. Apex clips. They're probably in here. I am a lot more organized than I used to be. That's the hot end, which we're probably going to need in a little while. Power supply, which we probably won't need for a little bit. Put it here anyway. Apex clips, I hope. Yes. They're for the spool holder. I don't need those yet. Apex clips. Fasten the belt and to the tensioner. Put the tensioner into the carriage. Apex clip down and then route the belt around the pulley. Okay. Now it appears we have 6 apex clips, so that means we're probably going to need 2 of these things per. And tensioners. So let's just double investigate what's going on here. The belt leaves the top here, goes up and around the pulley here, back down and around the motor. It probably goes out here, this side, up around the idler, back through the big slot in the motion system, back down this side and out and around and back up here. And then there's a clip goes into each side there. Okay, so having seen this done a few times before, I'm going to do this first, because it's a lot less faffing. So let's just read those instructions one more time. Fasten the belt to the tensioner, put the tensioner into the carriage. Let's read this one again. Using the apex clips, fasten the belt to the tensioner. So let's show you what's going on. Let's do it with a separate belt, just for ease. Based on the diagram, the belt goes here, and then the clip pushes in behind it like that. Now I'm not going to press that all the way home, so I don't want to lock this one into here yet, but that's how it's done. So there's the screw hole there, then there's the belt, then there's the clip, and you squeeze that all the way into place, and that's what then locks the belt into the system. So pop that out. Now I'm not going to press that all the way home, so I don't want to lock this one into here yet, but that's how it's done. And the belt will only go in so far, so that makes life nice and simple. At 2 a.m. you need Colombian energy powder. That's not easy to get here. Not that I would use it, but it's not easy to get here. So, and the belt will only go in so far, so that makes life nice and simple. At 2 a.m. you need Colombian energy powder. That's not easy to get here. I'm having a little trouble making that fit. So it's fine in that dimension. I'm having a little trouble making that fit. So it fits in that way. So this way is fine. It's just not quite fitting this way. It's fine in that dimension. I'm just trying to identify why. It fits in that way. So this way is fine. Just not quite fitting. There we go. This way. It's a very tight interference fit. I'm just trying to identify why. Everybody knows I love interference fits. Ah, there we go. That's probably way too far and going to cause me mischief now. Everybody knows I love interference fits. Yes, going to cause me mischief. So, how are we going to fix this? Ah, there we go. That's probably way too far and going to cause me mischief now. Those apex clips are easier to get out than I thought they would be. Let's take that shuttle off. It's not a real printer build unless you have to dismantle at least 10% of it and redo it. So it's not too bad. So all of the screws out. It's not a real printer build unless you have to dismantle at least 10% of it and redo it. So it's not too bad. How can I grab this nicely? Needle nose. So all of the screws out. How can I grab this nicely? Needle nose. I'm just going to reference one of these other ones that doesn't have. Aha, that might work. So let me explain. That heat set goes, there's a hole all the way through from here. So what I'm going to do, from my stack of wonderful and bizarre things, I have some 50mm M3 screws. So let me explain. Phil no longer likes interference fits. There's a hole all the way through from here. So what I'm going to do, from my stack of wonderful and bizarre things, I have some 50mm M3 screws. This is a 40mm, not a 50, so I might have to swap this. Oh. And of course, it's supposed to line up with that. Because that's the way. So let me explain. What I thought I was going to do was drive this screw through here and use it to push the tensioner out. But you can't do that because there's a screw that's supposed to go through there and then screw into that heat set. So that idea, as cool as it sounded, doesn't actually work. But you can't do that because there's a screw that's supposed to go through there and then screw. Can't put anything in that hole because that hole is blocked. So that idea. Can you tap it back the other way? Doesn't actually work. Can't put anything in that hole because that hole is blocked. Now there is a very easy fix for that, and that's just to tear this piece out. But I'd really rather not, because that would involve reprinting a new one and slowing everything down. Have I got something that's L-shaped that I could squeeze into that hole and then still use my original idea? That's the question. Have I got something that's L-shaped that I could squeeze into that hole and then still use my original idea? That's the question. All is not lost, people. We will work this out. Now, the only thing steel in there is going to be this screw. But that's too stainless of a screw. All is not lost, people. We will work this out. Now, the only thing steel in there is going to be this screw. Just going through my box of assorted tricks that I've got here. Aha! An Allen key might work. Just going through my box of assorted tricks that I've got here. Do I have a slim hex key? It's exactly where I've just come to. Great minds think alike, Greenbeard. Aha! An Allen key might work. Do I have a slim hex key? It's exactly where I've just come to. Great minds think alike, Greenbeard. There we go. This might be fiddly, but I think it is a viable way to do it. Ideally, I'd want something a little bit wider and flatter. This might be fiddly, but I think it's a viable way to do it. Ideally, I'd want something a little bit wider and flatter. This might work. Side cutter is going to be easier for this. So what I've got, this is a piece of Pt3 I printed for and of course the tongue breaks off immediately. Oh, that was worth a shot. That was a piece of Pt3 I had printed for being a terminal cover for a power supply, but it didn't quite fit. Still looking for something suitable that will work. Really only needs a little bit of flat plastic, so that tongue might still work. That was a piece of Pt3 I had printed for. What did it spring off to? A terminal cover for a power supply, but it didn't quite fit. There. Still looking for something suitable that will work. Really only needs a little bit of flat plastic, so that tongue might still work. What did it spring off to? Okay, so I've got that little piece of plastic pressed in behind, pushed in behind the part, and let's see how we go. Okay, so I've got that little piece of plastic pressed in behind, pushed in behind the part. Missed. And let's see how we go. The trouble I'm having is there isn't a lot of light in there, so it's very hard to judge. That's it. Or is it? No. The trouble I'm having is there isn't a lot of light in there, so it's very hard to judge. That's it. Or is it? No. Sorry guys, I know I've gone a little bit quiet. That piece of plastic's not quite long enough. The problem I've got. It should be. Unless there's more cavity there than I expected. There shouldn't be able to be. That piece of plastic's not quite long enough. The problem I've got. It should be. Unless there's more cavity there than I expected. There shouldn't be able to be. That's better. Sorry, I was reaching over my head. Is this just going to drive a hole through my little shim or not? That's the question. That's better. Sorry, I was reaching over my head. Yeah, it's just driven a hole straight through it. Is this just going to drive a hole through my little shim or not? That's the question. Penguins here, the party can start now. Dude, what time is it? We've been going for 50 minutes. And you've been missing the last 10 minutes of me wrestling with this one little thing that's gone wrong. Penguins here, the party can start now. Dude, what time is it? We've been going for 50 minutes. And you've been missing the last 10 minutes of me wrestling with this one little thing that's gone wrong. There is one last thing we can try, and that's brute force. So I'm just out of shot on my vice. And now I'm off shot getting a big screwdriver. Too big. Might be a bit big. That one should be fine. And now I'm off shot getting a big screwdriver. Too big. Might be a bit big. That one should be fine. Sorry guys, I know I'm off screen, but I'm just trying to get this done so we can keep progressing. Well, it's out. How badly did I mangle it, is the question. Oh, that was actually pretty good. Sorry guys, I know I'm off screen. A little bit of a mark on that part, and nothing at all on that one. So let's very carefully just partially insert that. And then we'll use the screw to tighten it up. And replace the screw with a shorter one once we're happy with roughly where it is. So, while we've got it apart, double checking I've got this correct. Teeth to the inside. Just verifying that matches. Yeah, teeth to the inside. Wow, the OBSBot zoom almost worked how it's supposed to. Don't want it to, but teeth to the inside. Just verifying that matches. Teeth to the inside. Okay, clip is in place. Run that around the motor. And I know this isn't exactly how it says to do it, but we're playing catch up. Okay, clip is in place. Run that around the motor. Then that goes into there. Now I'm going to quickly whiz the part back onto the carriage. There we go. Steve, you just missed me wrestling for 15 minutes almost with a too tight of a fit on one of the tensioners. Carriage. There we go. Steve, you just missed me wrestling for 15 minutes almost. You didn't go through the carriage. I've deliberately not gone into there just yet. I just want to make sure I can right, let's put that out of the way. You didn't go through the carriage. I've deliberately not gone into there just yet. I just want to make sure I can Yep, that's missing the optical sensor. Missing the optical sensor. Then this pokes all the way to the bottom of the hole and double checking that's in and snap. So this is a lot too loose at this point. Why? Because that hasn't been pulled up yet, and we're probably going to need a much longer screw than it recommends to actually do that, but we'll get there in a second. Does it say what length of screw we need? And snap. So, this is a lot too loose at this point. The screw's in the picture, but it doesn't say which one. That hasn't been pulled up. M3 by 30, there we go. Now I'm going to try the 30 mil and see if it reaches. If it doesn't, we'll use the longer screw to pull the tensioner into its spot and then tighten it up. The screw's in the picture, but it doesn't say which one. M3 by 30, there we go. I'm going to try the 30 mil and see if it reaches. If it doesn't, yeah, it's not going to be long enough. So Steve, just in case you missed it, because I don't know exactly what time you joined, the fit on the tensioner is a little bit too snug, and as a result, it doesn't slide easily in and out, and it got stuck. So we spent a little while wrestling with it. And now to fix all this up, I'm using an M340 just to catch the heat set and do the first part of the tensioning. Yep, that's caught in the heat set. And I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but the tensioner is now compressing. So I'm just going to make sure I've got about 10 mil of screw sitting through, and then I'll swap over to the 30. But the tension is now compressing. That's close enough. So I'm just going to make sure I've got about 10 mil. Martin's here. Hi, Martin. Of screw sitting. And Maker Vikings here as well. Hi, everybody. And then I'll swap over to the 30. For those playing catch up, I'm just fixing a minor stuff up. It's that usual spot you get to on a build where you've done everything pretty well, and then something comes to bite you and you have to undo 10% of what you've done. It's not quite 10% in this case, thank goodness. I'm just fixing a minor stuff up. There's no shims or washers or anything that has to go in here. Doesn't say so. You've done everything pretty well, and then something comes to bite you and you have to undo 10% of what you've done. So that screw has caught on the heat set, so that's good. Has it? That screw has caught on the heat set, so that's good. Looks like it has. Well, maybe it hasn't. Has it? I thought I had allowed enough thread. Looks like it has. Well, maybe it hasn't. I thought I had allowed enough thread. That's better. That's bitten. That's not catching in the optical sensor, so that's done. Woohoo! How not to do this has been learned. That's better. At least now we know what not to do. That's bitten. That's not catching. Tension apart. One clip. Two clips. And belt. Hi, Collie. You came at a good time, Collie. I've already cleaned up the mess I made. Let us check this fit before we start. There we go. So I've got that tensioner pressed in about halfway. We may still need to use the longer screw to pull it right into place. Or we could use the Nipex method, like I just did, around the motor. Through the carriage, up and around the pulley, or idler, or however you want to call it, into there. And the clip. Presses into place. that should be close enough for the 30 to catch it first time now. Yeah, that's one thing we're all keen to know. Raj, did your Core 1 get sorted out yet? I'm assuming so, because you then went on and bought yet another Prusa of it. For those of you who don't know, Raj bought a Core 1, but said Core 1, even though it was a factory assembled unit, wasn't fully assembled. The Y rods, the linear rods that run front to back in the sides of the printer, hadn't actually been screwed into place. That screw doesn't seem to be finding its home in the brass heat set. So I'm just going to run it through the hole backwards. That might explain why. There's a tight spot in this heat set. Hopefully that's all been opened up. This whole process is kind of fiddly. All right, I think that's bitten. There we go. It's looking much more like it. I have a sneaking suspicion that one of these belts isn't seated all the way in its slot. Let me just verify that against the one we've already built. Yeah. Easiest way to get that out is probably going to be here. Let's take this off the carriage, give myself a little bit more wiggle room. So what's going on, guys, is this this tensioner is tightening up a lot more than the other one did. Like it's taking a lot more to actually get all the way to the bottom of the hole, to get tight. I suspect something's not quite right and one of these belts isn't fully seated. One of these belt ends, I should say. So right, that feels like it's seating all the way again. Push. And let's try the same on the other side. If I can get this clip out. No, that's not coming out, but it does feel a lot closer to being able to reach tension. So let's not mess with it. And I can always tweak it off stream if I need to. Just double checking that the tab is not interfering with the sensor. Tight, tight, tight. Not quite tight, so let's give that a bit of a crank down now. So just talking through what's going on and what my issue was. On the inside of the slot where the belt sits, there are teeth in the into the printed part to match the teeth on the belt. And I think that maybe the belt wasn't seated all the way down, and that's where my issue was. I still suspect that on this side, there's maybe one tooth too far this way, so it's not quite right. But the tension on this is the same as it is on the other one. So we'll go with that. Last one. So what are we going to need? We are going to need my little plastic bag full of parts. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. That we're going to need. That we're not going to need. Shouldn't need those anymore. Let's remove the risk of that happening to me again. So can we see it on the picture? Maybe. Just inside there, there's printed teeth into the plastic part. Now, the way this part prints is it prints this side onto the print bed. So it's got the texture on it. I suspect there's a very minor amount of elephant's foot there, and that's what's causing these to be quite tight. And that's already fitting a little better just running the jaws around them. Let's run this all the way around first. And back to chat. Oh, Raj needed an extra one because he needed a project he's doing. Now there's no question that is reaching the bottom of the hole, so that's awesome. The last of the clips. My recommendation if you're going to build a Delta Fly is actually print 7 of these clips, just in case you kill one. There we go. So that clip is pressed all the way home. Haha! We are getting there. Where are we at? We are at 4:15 my time. That's probably not going to quite catch the heat set. There we go. I've gone quiet, haven't I? Feel the dead air, Phil. It looks like the chat is now actually keeping up, so that's a good sign. Just feeling for signs of the M3 catching on the heat set. And it looks like it is. And you can strum it like a guitar string, so that's all good. And that feels nice and tensioned. So, where are we at? All 3 of these are up to date. Double check that. Yep. That's possibly a little bit over tight, but we can always work with it. Scrolling down in the instruction manual now. Assemble the frame and install the bed. 24 M312 screws. This is the part I've been waiting for. Screwing the whole damn thing together. So I'm going to do this laying down like this for now. M3 by 12. Now in my part sorting, which we can just about make out, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now, we need the one without the magnet. This is pylon A. So the one without the magnet goes here. Without the heat set, I mean. And it's not immediately obvious which way up these go. So let's this will be fun, down under Maker, to watch you laying down to put it together. Yeah. I'm just a little confused which way up these parts go. Let's scroll back up, because the heat set diagram might give us a clue. Here we go. Heat set for the top. And it looks to me like these heat sets are at the top, which means it's this way around. Heat set goes to the top based on the diagram. So and this is A, so it's that way around, which means that one goes there. Okay, I'm going to turn this all around so it's a bit closer matching for the so the printed side goes down that way and that way. Now, when we were speaking to Canrog when he visited the stream last week, he was saying that they are working on a much improved version of the manual. So did I just mess that up? Yeah, that way around. That one's in. Now, I'm just making these snug. I'm not tightening them up all the way, because we're going to need to make sure that the frame is reasonably square. Yeah. Luke, the most frustrating thing is the lack of contrast in the website diagrams, and just little things like which way up does this part go aren't obvious. It's been a great kit to put together and been lots of fun, but just a few bits where you have to think it through very carefully before you move on. And as you've seen, the elephant's foot on those parts made life interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, that one's missing a heat set. That one's missing a heat set. That's not missing a heat set. I realized this about 15 minutes ago as I was looking at the other parts, that I'd missed heat sets. So while waiting for the heat set press to warm up, that's part C/Z. C/Z connects to that one. And that connects to there. So what we could do while we wait is put this one onto here, that way up. So the heat set press should be warmed up by now. Let's put this out of the way for a moment. Have a drink of coffee, fill in some time. I don't know if I've told you guys this story, but if I have, tell me. If I haven't, well, awesome. I used to work in server support for a big telco for things like BlackBerry. So clients of the telco and internal facing people would have issues with their BlackBerries and or their servers for their BlackBerries. And I was part of the team that did the server support. And one day I was sitting there very, very early in the morning. I'd started my shift at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock or something like that. And I was just getting settled in, and I had a guy who I was talking to. We were getting things worked out with his server that was offline. And I took a big drink from my coffee mug and realized to my horror that it was yesterday's coffee and it was rancid. So all I could do was hit the mute button and spit this entire mouthful of coffee into the bin next to me and then go straight back to my call. He's like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just took a mouthful of yesterday's coffee." To which he goes, "Dude, that was so professional." And then we had another 40 odd minutes of troubleshooting his server for him. That's not the right size. Tweezers. Okay. Now, fortunately, with these parts, they're a lot easier to tell which way is up. That way is up. Gross. Why isn't that? Oh, that screw is making its way through. Ah. There's a little bit of plastic stuck in the hole from where I put the heat set in, so I'm just going to press that out with a screw from the other direction. There we go. That's better. See how much easier that went in. And especially for Alex, said the actress to the bishop. Again, I'm not tightening them up super tight, it's just enough to pinch. Now this side needs the one without the heat set hole. So this one is slightly different to the other two. I have a sneaking suspicion. Yes, that was the wrong size screw. Now, you'll probably also notice that I'm not using one of Steve's screw sorters at the moment. That's because my 4-year-old has permanently stolen one for her Lego building. And if she's going to keep building Lego, I'm more than happy with that. I can print another one. Chat's gone really quiet. Are you all still with me? I'm seeing nothing after Kegel said gross. So maybe you've all run away and gone, ugh, don't want to deal with that guy anymore. Or maybe somebody else's stream started and you've all run away. Join the circus and watching that guy. Or girl. Still here. Martin's still here. Martin still loves me. Kegel still loves me. So, that pylon and that pylon. I'm going to put these two together and then I'm going to go bring up over the other pylon. Let's get rid of these rulers. They've been annoying me for the last 15-20 minutes. Now, one thing I've noticed that the community is quite divided on is soldering. And I don't profess to be an artisan like some of the laptop repair channels, but I'm not bad at it. So one of the things I'm going to do content-wise going forward as the channel evolves a little bit is I'm going to do some soldering stuff. How to repair your MCU board kind of stuff. Why? I'm doing more and more of it of late. This the one? Yeah, this is the one. This is an SKR 1.4 turbo. The MOSFET had to be replaced and the screw down terminal had to be replaced. Screw down terminal was donated by an old Creality board, and so was the MOSFET. That came out of a client's printer, and I replaced their board entirely because that's what they wanted me to do. But there was nothing wrong with the board other than those two components. So for my own learning, I took it all apart and I fixed it. Now the MOSFET didn't go on very square. But I learned a lot doing it. And I think the community would benefit from some content on how to do that. Because you don't need to be constantly going out and buying replacement boards in most cases. A lot of the time it just takes a little bit of playing with to fix that stuff. I've realized I've missed another heat set, but we can fix that. Oh, that looks like Caleb. Hi, Caleb. You missed all the fun, Caleb. We've been wrestling with silly mistakes I made for about 20 minutes today. So that's all screwed together on those 4. Now it's kind of hard to do this so that you guys can see it easily. Let's see if I can balance this in the corner of my elbow while I screw these together. Subbed and liked, thank you very much. If anybody's here who is watching and hasn't liked and subscribed, or anybody who's watching as a VOD, please like and subscribe. It does help the channel. We're very close to hitting 300. Once we hit 500, a whole bunch of extra features unlock, which will make streaming a lot easier. And then we'll be on that run to 1,000. Now for Caleb and anybody else who's joined and not been brave enough to say hi, we're not fully tightening all these joiner screws in. We're just putting them a little bit snug to hold it all together and make sure everything goes together. We need to have this a little bit loose so we can then make sure that all the panels fit and it's all straight. So that's why I'm not cranking this all down. Some things that really lacking in the community is clipper content for those of us that are more mechanically minded. I'll keep that in mind. And I have done a few things like the USB, the naming videos. Have I got a hot air soldering station? I have access to them, but I don't actually have one here. But I have almost 100 Aussie dollars worth of AliExpress credit that I'm planning on using to buy myself one. Da Vinci, hi. Long time no see, man. How to tell Da Vinci's was here right at the beginning. He and Greenbeard and Shrimpfather and Brad, also known as Howie DeWitt, all have the moderator's tag. So that's probably getting a bit close. Now, I might reprint this as a single piece later, but my big Voron has been offline for a significant amount of time while I was getting my Vivid all sorted out. Vivid is now working quite reliably. I completed a 1100 swap print with only 2 interventions. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm guessing most of the people who are here would have seen Taylor's stream, and his has been far easier than the majority of the testers to get going. I was missing one screw. He's had the benefit of coming in quite late in the piece, where a lot of the software has already been sorted out. So that's there, that's there. And Clownhammer's here now too. Hi, Clownhammer. So, frame is screwed together. That's a little tight. I might need to take that apart and play with it. That one's nice. I think that's all together. Let's have a look at the next stage of the manual, shall we? Time is 4:40 my time, so we've probably got about another, well, anywhere between another 20 minutes and another 40. Add the sticky feet to the bottom of each corner of the frame. That's all nice, but exactly where? There's no spot in here to actually do that. Zip ties, the rods. Are they in with the electronics? Nope. Caleb's starting his Voron journey very soon. Make sure you've joined my Discord, because there's lots and lots of very knowledgeable people around who will be more than happy to help you. And it's a bit less crowded and a bit less noisy in terms of less helpful advice. That's the build plate like it's just asked for, but I can't find these sticky feet. Are they in there? No. I will find the sticky feet after the stream. Let's not hold things up. So that's all there. Next part. Attach the heated bed to the frame using M3x16 and M3x4 thumb nuts. Aha! Let's take the build surface off. Taking the build surface off. Nice double-sided plate. I really like the quality of that plate. I'm going to stuff that in my ender. Remind me that it's in my ender if I lose track of where I've put it. Now, one corner is where all the electronics go, so let's orientate it, keeping that in mind. Just checking which side the door is. Door is over here. So having it here makes a lot of sense, I feel. One, two, 3 thumb nuts and M316s. You'd like a 350, but realistically don't have the room. Honestly, do the 350. Suck it up, make the room. Have that one truly large printer. I know it feels hard to justify. Oh, they are deliberately big. Okay, I was a little confused for a moment. It's an M3 screw and an M4 thumb nut. So it's deliberately loose. And according to the picture, the wide part of the thumb nut goes up. Now, this is another really good reason not to have the frame too tight, because you need to make sure that all these screws are going to go in. And this might not be easy if the frame is 100% tightened down. I definitely don't miss that about UK houses, Greenbeard. One room in the house I'm in here is bigger than the entire downstairs of the house I grew up in the UK. So all three of these screws are just a half a nugger dugger, as Steve would say. Tight. And that's in. The thing is with Greenbeard is it's freaking cold in winter and you wouldn't be able to really print in winter. And it might flood. The UK is very prone to flooding these days. So let's have a quick look. Attach the motor covers using 12 M3x6. That's for pillar A. That's the wrong ones. That's the right ones. One. I should have printed these the other way up because the top surface isn't as good as the bottom surface. 2. 3. 2, 4, 6, 9, 10, 12. It's starting to look like a printer, everybody. 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this the sensible way. I'm going to put one screw in each in the same spot, and that'll give me the ability to pivot around that point just to make sure the panels line up nicely. I think this is probably the best viewing angle I can give you guys for this part, because laying it down is going to be too awkward to put the screws in. Yeah, I'm just checking a few things, making sure this all makes sense. Yep. Now, while we're doing this, shameless plug for my merch store. Link is in my channel description. There's t-shirts, there's hats, there's stickers. And I do have an ability, if anybody wants customized Down Under Maker stuff with your name on as well, just send me a DM with which style you like, and I can then put your name on it, or a family member's name, or however you want to do it. Now, if you heard that clicking, which you may not have because of my noise cancelling, the panels are just tight enough that as I tighten down that screw, the layer lines are just rubbing against each other. And the base plate is in. Let's move on in the manual now. And now we put in the top panels. Okay, so this one goes on CZ. That one goes to A. And that connects into B. Okay, so I put all the panels in. Hopefully you saw it top of the screen, there somewhere, wherever. So they're in, and we need, what kind of screws do we need to attach the top of the electronics panels using another 12 M36s. 4. There's a bunch. I'll grab any more I need to in a second. One. Two. Three. Car's bigger than his kitchen. Australia is a really interesting mix. The houses are big, but the cars aren't anything you wouldn't see outside Europe. I mean, we do have the occasional F-Series Ford, but they're pretty few and far between. What we're seeing here is a massive influx of Asian cars. So we've always had the Hyundais and the Kias and stuff for a long time, but we're now starting to see all the Chinese EVs come into the market. And it's changing the market. People are expecting a lot more from cars here. Go. 1, 2. 2 screws missing. Then there's Utes, yes. Although the days of the V8 Utes are pretty much done. Once Holden and Ford pulled production out of Australia, the Australian-only Utes disappeared. And to be honest, it's a good thing, because the drivers of them tend to be young kids who have no ability to control them. I'm jealous of you all. The Ford Ranger Wildtrak with a diesel motor is awesome. Caleb, send me a DM and I'll send you a link to a very adults-only video which perfectly describes most Ford Ranger drivers. Oh. Missing TV remote. one of my kids has obviously brought it in here at some stage. We've been looking for that for a week. Okay, so we've got the electronics panel put in. Let's go back to the manual. Electronics panel is all in. Attach the TR6 hot end mounts to the effector. Do not over tighten these screws, and we're using two M316s. Wait a minute, it says 2, but the diagram says 4. Ah, here we go. Attach the hot end mount to the effector with 4 M3/8s. Helps if I read everything properly. Now, just make sure I've got this orientated the correct way around. That way. Now these are screws into plastic, not into heat sets because of the geometry. So you have to be super careful with these ones not to over tighten. There we go, that's bitten. Yeah, emissions controls are getting tighter and tighter on diesel. What's been interesting is watching all the big mining companies here switch over to electric. So I know in the UK, they're just starting to see battery-powered trains on the Great Western rolling stock. But over here, they've got trains that are miles long, literally miles long, hauled by electric locomotives. Not overhead gantry electric, battery electric. So these are quarter of an ugga tight. Just tight enough to feel the little pinch, and that's it. Next, attach the TR6 hot end to the hot end mount using two M316s. Now we've that spot. Okay. M316s, 1, 2, and the TR6. Now we did briefly open this when we started the build series, but the heater, the heat break, a whole bunch of cabling, and a nozzle. Now let's have a quick look at this. They're doing it all fitted together. So let's. Now this would have been a little easier if they'd actually included a manual for putting this together, I think. So that's pretty obvious, goes that way around. That pretty obviously goes there. But what holds it all together? Has anybody built one of these hot ends before? Guidance appreciated. Does it rely on just pinching up against the... Must do. Okay. So what I've done, guys, is I've just removed the blue plastic clip from the heatsink, just to allow the whole thing to slide into place a little easier. I'm sliding this. That's what I needed to do. These holes are printed over by design. Penguin, it comes with a TR6. And what holds this into place? M316s, that's right. That screwdriver. So just driving this screw all the way through. But not tight, because I want to be able to just maybe tweak the alignment. Oh, my Apple Watch has just realized I'm awake. It's like, good morning, do you want to turn off your alarm? Is there a plate to secure the tube in the heat sink? There is a little, one of the little blue plastic clips which slides in under here. I just had to take it out to be able to fit it through. For those of you who haven't seen, I've got my Panda Touch, which I converted to a K-Touch on a stream a while back, all set up here. And I've worked out how to get the vivid to show on here. And I think, yeah, I can even do the temperature. So let's go 45. Enter. And it works. I haven't actually had a chance to play with it yet. One interesting limitation is that if you hit cooldown in the API for Polymaker, it will also shut down the Vivid heater. Leaving the live running, but I'm stepping away to pick up a family member. Thanks, Caleb, and get back in if you can later. We should probably be going for another, what, half an hour, depending on when my kids wake up. So that's all in place. Let's have another look at the instruction manual. They seem to have put all of the bottom end on already. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to leave the bottom end loose for now. We need to now fit the fan. Fan will be in the electronics box. Now it's not showing us where to route the wiring. So I'm going to assume that that is deliberate. And I'm going to mount the fan this way. So that then kind of matches what we're seeing on the picture. And all the wiring tucks down the side here. So we need M320s. Is that a 20? That's a 16. 1, 2, it says we need 3 of these screws. This feels like a crazy long screw for doing this, but okay. It's not bottoming out. Maybe they're using these screws for rigidity. So we're having these huge long screws all the way through the part. It's stiffening the plastic part that it's screwing into at the same time. Let me change the order of these things because chat's not quite right. There we go. That's better. Now chat doesn't block out that bottom screen, and the bottom screen masks that little bit of junk text at the bottom of the chat. So we've got all 3 screws as per the destruction guide. So I think that part we can tick off and move on. Now we need to mount that big fat blower using another M320. Okay. Let's just have a quick look at this, make sure there's nothing untoward going on. That seems to all match quite nicely. Don't like the sticker. I might take the sticker off or put a single layer of print there. What's the next Lego kit for Down Under Maker Offspring? The next kit is something we've already bought. It's a little police truck and a bad guy on a motorbike. I forget the set number off the top of my head, but she just finished building the little Fry's food truck van, so she was very excited about that. I think that is supposed to go through there. It won't fit, so let's take it off. So what I missed is just tucking that cable into that slot there. At least I assume I'm supposed to do that. It's an easy enough fix if I've got that wrong. It might be that I'm supposed to run that fan cable up through the top there. I'll work it out. Or we'll work it out together. Aha, we have a picture. Okay, so that now makes a lot more sense. Didn't need to put that cable through there. I need to put the other one. It would have been nice to have this picture earlier, wouldn't it? So that one goes up through there, and these guys go up through there. Let's just take the blower off entirely for a minute. Now I'm following the rule of always run the thicker cable first. In this case, that is the heater and thermistor. And there's just room to reach between the fan blades to tighten the nozzle into its spot. So let's just show this clearer on camera. The heat shrink on the heater and thermistor wires is nice and wide, and it just occupies all of that slot in the top of the printed part. The fan cable can run in the groove separately. Then we put the blower fan into place, put its screw in and tighten up, and that's going to retain all that nicely. That's a nice piece of part optimization, do all those jobs with just this one screw. There we go. All in place. And the nozzle's all nice and tight as well. So that's there, that's there. Now let's go back to the manual. So that's the picture I've just been working off. Now 2 M316s to put on the blowy piece, which is in, there's my little bag of plastic parts here. Now I've just noticed a little piece of over extrusion in the bottom of the hole. There we go. No more rattly bits, so that's all good. I should probably put you back onto the big camera 1 second. I can reach through the frame. Half an ugga-dugga tight. Yeah, Penguin, it obviously been through a few revisions between Kenrog and Rollahan to make sure that this is all nicely optimized. and it shows. Double checking by eye that the nozzle sits out proud of the whole assembly, which it does. There is a little bit of wiggle room to adjust this using the screw that goes between the fan blades. So you could actually pop the nozzle out a little bit further if you needed to, but this design is all good. This is a little bulky, and I reckon they could probably have minimized this a little bit more, but it looks pretty. So this part here could probably have been optimized a little bit smaller, but yeah, that's all gone together quite nicely. Sit that there. Go back to the manual and see what we're doing next. Bolt the effector to the carriages using M3, 12 M3 by 20 screws in the orientation showed here. Oh, so we have to actually do something more than this. We actually need to put together the carbon fiber shafts. So what time is it here? Did I just drop stream? Am I here? Hi, you can still see me. Nope, okay. I got a disconnect notice saying that OBS had disconnected. So I was just panicking for a moment, but it looks like it's all good. So it's 5:15 my time, for almost 5:20. We have to now put together all of the carbon fiber shafts for hanging this in the middle of the assembly. In here. That is going to take a little bit of time, and we're not going to get that finished before I would have to finish regardless. So rather than get halfway through that and then get stuck, let's call it here, and we will pick this up again next week. We've got a crap load done. Not quite as much as I wanted to. I wanted to get the effector hung, but we got sidetracked for 10 or 15 minutes with that tensioner issue. So I have been Phil. I have been the Down Under Maker. I would like to thank you all for having joined me today. And I will wish you a goodbye, and I will see you all next week. Thanks for joining me, guys. Bye.